Alright, 7:42, Monday night. I'm following up with another video because I've been doing some thinking. I went in the shower and you know how the water helps me think. But, I was thinking about how, I remember getting to this conversation with one of my soon-to-be ex-relatives. And basically, they were telling me that, I could learn a lot from other people. And, I'm not somebody who's arrogant to think that I can't learn lessons from other people. But in this case, I can't learn anything from these people who got involved in this shit. I just can't. I know that they kind of hit me with a bunch of religious stuff. Then the people who were participating, calling me in for job interviews and stuff, started becoming aggressive, which kind of defeated the purpose because they kind of showed their true self. Which made me realize that was kind of bullshit. But anyway, it's not that I think that religion or people who have a devotion to God is bad. It's not. It's a very commendable thing. But when you get this group mentality thing, it's not a good thing at all. No. There's a lot of things that I actively seek to know. If I want to know something, that I actively seek advice from people if I care to. But I'm content with my life. I don't look at other people like, well, I want what she has, or I really don't. Now, if some people would say, well, God, don't you want a bigger place and all that stuff? Well, that would be nice, but I'm the kind of person, I'm kind of content with what I have. If something happened to where I could have that sort of stuff, well then yeah, I guess so. But I'm not one of those people who bend over backwards for that. I'm just not. But what was I gonna say? Oh, yeah. I've been on my own for a very long time, and I'm suspecting that this main perp, the cute perp, the guy from high school. I've often mentioned his name before, but I figured I'd cut him some slack. When it comes to him, that's different. It's like, I look at the possibility of connecting with him, and I think, okay, well, I could easily, modify my plans in life to accommodate being with him if he wanted to step into my life. But if he didn't step into my life, then I'm fine being single. Some people look at that as very strange, but I don't want garbage in my life. I don't want any of it. And I'm very protective of my environment. I don't want to be dealing with, weirdos or, what do you call it? I don't want to deal with any drama. Like I said, I'm very protective about being abused and being in an abusive situation. So I have to be very careful. And, that's just how I am. And, at this age, you kind of get settled into who you are. And I am who I am, And oftentimes, when you get into gang stalking, the purpose of gang stalking is because they try to find flaws, character flaws in a person, which I'm not saying I'm perfect, I'm not perfect, but there's nothing wrong with me, okay? I think when people heard that I didn't go to church or whatever, they immediately thought that I was a godless heathen or something. But I actually have far higher morals than people who claim to be worshipers of God, which I do worship God. But my point is that what I'm referring to are active church members, people who affiliate with the church. I take spirituality very seriously, and but that's not something I need to prove to other people. I don't need to prove it. I would make a very good ideal mate for this particular person, but if he is involved in my targeting, he doesn't have to go through all of that. You know what I mean? Sincerity is like, you give people yourself willingly, freely, without having to feel as though there's an obligation. That's when it becomes a burden. And you don't want to ever feel that way. You want to be able to do things that feel right for both of you, and, if he is involved, he needs to communicate. It's as simple as that. I'm sure he's got my phone number. I think I've given it to him enough times. And, think I even gave him my address or something like that. So, if he is involved, hey, show up. Say something, You don't have to sit here and go through all of that. And I suggest that you don't, because I don't think, when you're dealing with a stalking situation or employment manipulation, oftentimes, and I'm not picky. I mean, I would take a bookkeeping job or whatever, but it's oftentimes, but originally, I had my own goals, my own ideas on what I wanted to do. I had specific things on what I figured I was going to do. When I left the farmer's place, I figured I'll just go ahead and pick up where I left off, and then I would just keep going, and then all this weird stuff started happening, and I didn't quite understand. And I was willing to move to a different location because I kept thinking, okay, well, something weird's going on here, so I moved, and all this weird shit started happening. And some people think, well, what are you trying to do? I don't know what my family was thinking. Like, what is she trying to do? Is she trying to be off on some weird adventure? No, I'm trying to keep a goddamn roof over my head. Period. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know what people think or why they think that. Why would they think anything different? That's why. I get frustrated because this is all I have. That's it. You know what I mean? And sure, I cannot understand how people don't get that. I don't understand how they don't get that. Maybe some people are used to being unemployed for long periods of time. I'm not one of those people. I like to work. Even though my family was there mobbing me out of jobs and stuff, I've always picked up and tried to pick back and get back into it. I don't like to be in this situation. I just don't. I'm a very understanding person. So let's just say, for example, if my perp stalker would have contacted me, I don't know, when, I'm trying to think, maybe 2014? Is that when he started doing all this? Because that's when it started getting really bizarre. A phone call would have been nice. Phone call would have been nice. A text message, note in the mail, something along those lines, but, obviously, if I'm the age that I am now, and I haven't found anyone, I'm not looking for somebody, but, if he steps in the picture, I would definitely be accommodating to him, I really would, but those things have to be communicated, just between him and me, if that is indeed the case, and it's just between he and I, no one else. I don't need outside intrusion in my life. I don't want that shit in my life. I don't want it. It causes nothing more than frustration and tension and all this other crap. And I've dealt with people before, and every time I deal with people, especially in large numbers, it only becomes a nightmare for me. It only becomes a nightmare. And, it's not that I'm opposed to having friends or anything like that. But, you got to be selective about your friends. And obviously, so-called friends who got involved in this really weren't thinking of my best interest. It kind of seems that way. So, anyway, those are my thoughts, But I will say, though, oftentimes, like I said, they want to try to show you how you're supposed to live, how you're supposed to act, what you're supposed to think. And then they demonstrate this absurd behavior, which ends up proving that they were wrong in the first place, much like the religious issue, And then if the racial issue got in, then that just goes to show you that as well, So I'm not trying to prove any points. I'm just sitting here living my life. And apparently, for some people, that's just going about your business, minding, living your life the way you want to in your own home is enough to piss them off. I'm not bothering anybody. And I'm not, trying to disturb the status quo either, but obviously by people bringing attention to my religious beliefs, obviously they are. My religious beliefs are very sincere. Very very, very sincere. And like I said, I was a Bible reader when I was a kid, all the way up to my adult years. And, I often quote scriptures and refer to scriptures oftentimes. But, and it did. It was my foundation of how I was raised on my own accord. I mean, I wanted that when I was a kid. I was obviously born with some sort of gift, and I realized that it didn't just come by accident. It had to come from somewhere. So you start searching, And, I take things very seriously, So, anyway. But I have a soft, spot in my heart for this dude. So, I don't think that's necessary, and I don't want to jump to conclusions, but, yeah, work is work, home is home, and I do like to enjoy work, I do. I mean, I like having my mind set to something, and it satisfies me on different levels, my mind is constantly going, so when I don't have anything to direct my attention to, I get, pretty tense and pretty weird, like, pace around and just get agitated, so it has a dual purpose, and not only that, I really do need the money, but, it's a part of my life, and I expect it to be a part of my life for a very long time, just because, hey, I got to pull the weight, and, regardless, whether I'm married or single, that's just how it is, because I have learned in life that the only person you can rely on in this world is yourself. And I'm too old to change that. I'm too old to sit there and say, oh, well, maybe I'll lean a little bit on it. Fuck that, okay? I'm not leaning on anybody. Because too many people want to pull the rug right up and underneath your feet, okay? I've seen it too many times. I don't trust people. I just don't. I have to take care of myself, I was thinking many years ago, I was talking to somebody about how oftentimes, like, I would never want my mother to make decisions for me because my mother's like a 1950s housewife. And that's not to put her down. It's just that, sometimes older people think in ways that are not productive in this day and age, especially for women. Like my mom, she married a man who took care of her financially. So in my mom's mind, it's like, oh, well, that's just the way it's supposed to be. And any sort of deviation for her, it doesn't make any sense, okay? But in my world, it's completely different. I mean, I live in the real world. And I've experienced things that my mother had the privilege of never experiencing. So therefore, I don't see things the way that she does, okay? No matter how well-intentioned or if that's just one of her weird, manipulative, abusive type things that she wants to throw out. I don't know where all this bullshit came from, but whatever the case is, at my age, it's none of her goddamn business. So, yeah, I'm a little pissed off about that whole issue. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up. I think I said enough, It's just that, I've been sitting here on unemployment for very long. I mean, I've been out of work since July, and I mean, I should have been right back into my work, and I should have been able to go get a job right away. I was hoping that my targeting would have stopped by now, and I don't want it to go on anymore. I don't. You have no idea how psychologically draining it is to be in this situation. Always wondering, like, what's going to happen? What kind of weird, fucked up freak are you going to encounter at a job interview? I don't want that bullshit. I don't want it. I don't need somebody scrutinizing me or picking me apart. It's bullshit. You know what I mean? That I come to this fucking job interview in presenting myself in the most professional manner I possibly can. I'm very cordial, I'm polite, I try to follow up with, thank you emails. I don't need people basically trying to screw my shit up, because I didn't do anything. I didn't, okay? So, anyway. I'm going to wrap this video up. I think I said enough. I am very outspoken when it comes to people kind of messing with my life, because like I said, I'm all I have. You know what I mean? And, other than that, when people aren't messing with my things, I would say that I'm a very sweet, nice little old lady. But, yeah, don't get in my way, okay? Don't even try to do that, okay? Because I don't want to be that way, I like making my little crafts and living in my little cute pink and blue and Hello Kitty and being all sweet and everything like that. That's how I like to be. And that's how, I want to be for the rest of my life. I don't want to be always on edge and being grouchy all the time, It's not who I want to be, But I will be that way if I have to. You know, I can switch modes pretty quickly. So, anyway, wrapping up this video. Have a wonderful evening tonight.